Okay.
Good morning, everyone. We are a little late this morning, but we are here. I am so glad to be here with Miss Alondra Thompson. I am Pleshette with SatCulturalHub.com,
Mhm.
and we are back with Tea Time with Pleshette. We sort of took in hiatus, folks. But we are back, and we are going to be in a really good discussion today. I'm so glad to have Alondra with us. I mean, I've seen Thompson in action. Okay. She's hey, come share this video, like this video, because the nuggets of information and things you are going to learn today about self-care in the pandemic is going to
Mhm.
be very worthy of your time. It'll be
Yeah.
time well spent.
Mhm.
So again, I first heard Alondra speak as a keynote speaker at the Black Women's Health and Wellness Conference. And I think
Mhm.
you were a keynote speaker 2 years
Yeah,
at the
I
School of
was.
Medicine.
Mhm.
And she was dynamic. Okay, she was dynamic. She's got some, good tools of how we can, cope and be able to, again, our subject today is
Uh,
how to practice self-care in a pandemic. So just a little about Alondra, and I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself. Alondra is the director of behavioral health at One Community Health here in Sacramento. Okay, and they're located in downtown Sacramento. So we're going to talk a little bit about their services they offer,
yeah.
but without further ado, let's just get into Alondra giving a little history about who you are, what you've done,
Okay.
and then we'll start getting into our discussion of questions.
Oh my gosh, I need to wake up with you next to me because the way you introduced me, I feel like I am like somebody's Wonder Woman, but I love it. I do.
You are. I
That right
love it.
there is that's what we need during this pandemic. Someone like you to talk us up the way you have done for me today. I appreciate you, Miss Pleshette. I
I'm
love the
glad
work
to
I
have you on
do.
the show.
I'm glad to
Hmm.
be here. I love what I do. I came from the Bay Area. I'm from Richmond, California, and I grew up in a community that we
Okay.
we took care of one another, right? Like we were there for each other. It felt like when I finished high school, I left there to go to college and I was leaving behind a family.
Oh,
And I love
wow.
how but what it does for me is it reminds me of what we need during this time specifically, but I'll go into that a little bit later. But like I said, I'm from the East Bay, Richmond,
Okay.
California, grew up, raised there, love my family, though my family is the reason why I got into this work. We're very dysfunctional.
We are too. So let us join together in being having dysfunctional families.
Yes, because with that dysfunctional comes a lot of growth. I'll just tell you that right there. So, like these days
So
of
true.
today, we get to pull back from what we learned about how to take care of ourselves in this meeting,
Hmm.
and during this time of our lives. So that's me. And I came through call school and everything wanting to be of service to my community, to everyone who lives as I do in the world that we have today been given. So that's it. And everything that I'll offer you is just what I give myself. And I hope that it will be something that you can take and have as those nuggets when we need to pull in that bag and come out with something to manage that very moment that
Absolutely.
we go into. So take it
Oh,
away.
wow.
Ask me whatever.
Okay, let's get into it. So,
Yeah.
first question, how is COVID-19 influencing people's mental health? Why is this particularly important for African Americans?
So I always say, you can put uh, a topic to that sentence, and we're always going to be answering it. Why is our marriage of influencing our mental health? Why are our
Right.
children influencing our mental health? So any area that seems to be of a challenge, and we can use COVID
Yeah.
19 today,
Hmm.
is very influenced by who we are as a person and what our external environment has shown up to us as support or not being
Yes.
supportive, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we'll say during COVID-19, our mental health is being influenced both externally from the
Yes.
pandemic itself that we have no control over, and
Mhm.
internally of our inner souls that we do have some management that we can obtain and do as the captain of this vessel. Now,
Right.
we have to be willing to look at, we have some who have like that spiritual background, and we have some who do not depend on a spiritual background. So I always try to make it fit for both. So the message is
Mhm.
understand what our external environment is offering us or not offering us, and what we are going to give ourselves internally. And why is this
Mhm.
particularly important for African Americans? For so long, it is as if the external environment controlled how and what we did for our own healing, for our own space. Yes. And that is not
Yes.
the
Yes.
case, you know. And
Mhm.
then we lose sight of truly what our internal skills and tools have been available to us. We just
Yes.
need to be
Tapping into that.
reminded to access them, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
and
Yes.
and I think that because the external environment is so um see, sometimes I use curse words, so I won't use that on this. I'll say
To get your
our
point across, we
to get my
understand.
point across, our external environment is just not good right now. It is
It's
effed
toxic.
up.
It's
It
toxic.
is tough.
External social media, and we
Yes,
just have to pull back and kind of like go into isolation just to
yes,
meditation, because it's very toxic, and
it
that could
is.
substitute the cuss word.
Oh yes, thank you. That's a good word. Instead of the F bomb, the T bomb, the toxicity.
Yes,
Exactly
yes.
true. So what we get to do, because it is so toxic, we don't have to swallow it. We get to go
Right.
internally and see what our peace and serenity and strength and resiliency and protecting factors
Hmm.
look like. We get to
Right.
remind ourselves what we truly grew up gathering as we came through other challenges in our childhood, as adolescents, as young
Hmm.
adults, that we probably forgot because we get caught up
Hmm.
in the external so often. It's too easy to connect to it as if it's ours.
Hmm.
But the work for
Yeah.
African Americans, the work for us today is to say, I don't have to connect with something I have no control over. I can
Yeah.
disconnect.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
So for me, and I'll just be on the personal level because I think I have to be able to acknowledge that all of us have our own ways to heal. And
Hmm.
I'll say for me, dealing with the pandemic, I choose to, I deserve to wake up before the external world does and check in with my internal self,
Yes. Yes.
right? And just
Hmm.
have that time of meditation and quiet time
Hmm.
with the
Hmm.
one, which I am not. But I
Hmm.
own that and I give myself that space for 30 minutes each morning.
Hmm.
And then the
I
rest of
love
the
it.
world wakes up, right?
Right, right. And
Yeah.
we have to do that. That's so important. I so agree
Yes.
with you there. Is not just get right into, our work day without first waking up, you know, and if you have prayer, if you have meditation, I wake up to exercise.
Yeah.
And this is especially important, not just for African Americans, for Black women in general, because it's so,
Hmm. Yes.
just talking about, we carry a lot of baggage with us. And, I talk a lot about wearing a face,
Hmm.
and you wear a face for the public because you don't want to, show all your cards of, being gloomy and sad about what's really
Mm-mm.
going on behind the scenes, because the public don't want to hear it,
Mm-mm.
right?
Doesn't time. It don't have time for it. It want to share its own gloom, not you have yours
Yes,
join it.
yes, exactly, exactly. So I love what you said about, internally tapping into our own strengths is
Hmm.
so important, and whatever that may be for
Right.
each and every one of us, because, I may like to exercise, but the next person may not like to exercise. So
Right.
they may like to meditate. They may
Yes.
like to go into prayer.
Hmm.
Whatever it is that takes you away from the crazy heyday of,
Yes.
all these distractions that are
Yes.
happening beyond work, beyond your children. And that takes us to the next questions: in what should we pay attention to when we talk about self-care for adults and children? What should we specifically pay attention to?
So let's start with the adults, because I
Mhm.
have to say there has to be some relation with the adult that you are wanting to pay attention to.
Mhm.
We want to have some attunement to that adult. Like if that adult is our adult child, our adult partner, our adult whomever in our relational space, our
Yeah.
attunement to that other person is really important. Because if
Mm.
we are attuned as adults to one another, we
Mhm.
can see when there is a change in that
Mhm.
person's behavior. You can tell if you're attuned to that person, you
Right.
know when something's not right. You can tell.
Mhm.
I don't care. Sometimes it's something that they may say, or it could be
Yeah.
something they not say. It could be
Right.
something that they behave differently, and it could
Mhm.
be something that they're not behaving at all. So with attunement, you are so in the know of who you are serving or being of service to
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
hmm, something's not right with so and so. And
Mm.
because there is that relationship, I think
Mhm.
you will know what to say next.
Mhm.
With
Mhm.
children, with children, the same is true. You have to be attuned to our children to understand that there is something different going on for that person.
Mhm.
And children have a way, and we want to listen to it,
Mhm.
questioning the world. They question,
Yes, they do. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And because they question the world, we just want to wait for their questions
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
be able to relate to them, whatever age level that they're at, our response, right?
Mhm.
For
Mhm.
example, I have an adult who says, well, I used to, and now that this pandemic, I can't. And my thing
Mm.
is always, yeah, I know we used to do a lot of different things that we don't do
Right.
today in this very moment. And what we get
Yeah.
to experience is going into this arena in today and saying, what do I get to do today?
Mhm.
What am I
Mhm.
going to excite myself about today? And hopefully that's every moment. Just be
Mhm.
excited.
Mhm.
Just be excited for the newness of this day,
That's
right?
right.
Right?
Yes. I'm such a good proponent of that. I wake up and, I love Mondays. I call Mondays Money Mondays. I'm calling people. I'm planning who I'm going to call today who owe me
Yes.
money or who I can get money from, right?
That's right.
But
That's
then,
right. That's right.
so I
Plan it.
just wake up with this new attitude. It's a
Yes.
new morning.
Yes.
Yesterday was yesterday. Last week was last week. We
Hello.
on to the next. We can plan,
Right.
for tomorrow. My mom always says that, the days are not promised to you. We could try to plan for the weeks to come,
Uh-huh.
but let's be in today and have a new
Yes.
attitude today. Be
Yes.
thankful for the morning. The morning
Yes.
came, and
Yes.
now we can move about our day. So
Hmm. Intentionally.
intent intentionally. Now I love that word. Be
Me too.
intentional
Yes.
on what you plan to do for the day, whether it be
Yes.
exercise, whether it be, I'm going to be in the stock market today, or I'm
Right.
going to,
That's right.
just different things, or I'm going to call,
Yes.
two or three people in my family, or just one person, because
Yes.
I'm not good with that.
Yes.
Or I'm going to take a walk at work, because I
Mhm.
found it to be very soothing because I'm in the office. And when we
Yes.
talk about self-care,
Uh-huh.
I found it soothing to take a walk
Yes.
outside my office, like 3 blocks, and
Right.
then walk back,
Right.
you know, and
Yes.
try not to be on the phone.
Right.
And then maybe sit down
Mhm.
somewhere where, where I work, there's a little bench, and
Uh,
I found myself sitting down under a tree,
uh,
and I was just noticing how peaceful it was.
yes.
So I just think these
Yes.
are things that are overlooked by us
Right.
sometimes, that could
Mhm.
really, give us a new fresh way of thinking about things
Yes.
for
Yes.
the rest of the day, that you have
Yes.
to, tackle through with, all these different things happening. So
Yeah.
When we talk about mental health, Alondra,
Mhm.
and I'm specifically just not for African Americans, but I'm really for the Black women, you know,
Mhm.
and how do we know when to seek help and where
Mhm.
can people get the help for some of the issues like depression, for one, that, and I've dealt with depression, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
so, where can we seek help from?
So the first thing I'll have to go back to, like when do we know?
Hmm. Hmm.
For me, we want to be as attuned to ourselves as we are to others.
Hmm.
Being attuned to ourselves is that we are very aware of what we are experiencing in the moment internally, what
Hmm.
our soul is saying,
Hmm.
right? You know how people say, well, you got to feel it in your gut. It's your
Yeah.
soul that is talking to you during times of challenges and breakdowns, depression. And we
Hmm.
deserve that pause moment. I always say, and I'm going to say this for both those who are spiritual and those who are not,
Hmm.
pause, pray, stay. And
Mm,
for those
I
who
love
are not,
that.
yeah, and those who are not, spiritual, I don't condone anyone's way of taking into themselves. I say pause, wait, stay. In that time of our prayer and waiting, we touch bases with our internal safety, our
Hmm.
internal protected factors, our internal healing process that we can give ourselves. When we
Mm.
tap into that wait and praise phase, we
Wait and
get the
pray space. I
wait
love
and praise
that.
phase because we get
Hmm.
to like slow down. And when we slow down, we're growing. In that midst of our growth, we have the opportunity to listen to the answer. And the
Hmm.
answer is to seek service from someone. You know,
Hmm.
we're supposed to be servicing each other. Jesus got on his
Hmm.
knees and cleaned the feet of the disciples. People
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
serve other people are available and they want to be of service to you, to us, when we know that we deserve to be served
This
in
is
that
so
space,
true. Hmm.
right? and
Yes,
then we
yes.
seek and then we seek the support. So I always tell people, I don't care what you call it. I don't want you to come see someone because you think you're crazy. I don't want you to come
Hmm.
seek someone because someone told you that you're acting out and we recommended this person. You want to seek someone when you know you deserve to be in an arena of vulnerability, space to process what is going on, and counseling and the support that we offer gives you that.
Hmm.
And it may
Hmm.
look differently. Like, people go to the hair shop just to be able to get their hair washed because that's therapeutic for me.
Very
Yeah,
therapeutic. I
right.
know.
And when I'm getting my hair washed, I'm talking to Layla, who is my hair person, and I'm saying, girl, today, right? So we get that. And it's like part of the paying of getting my hair done, I'm getting therapy. So I don't care how you
Yes,
do it, where you
yes.
go. But
Hmm.
and those of
Hmm.
us who have insurance, we can seek behavioral health services through our insurer and find out what our coverage is, and if there's a copay,
Yes.
pay it.
And we should do this. Take advantage
Yes,
of those services that you have on
yes,
your insurance. Don't feel like, oh, I don't need
mm,
to see a counselor. I don't need to see a
mm,
psychiatrist. Because I saw a psychiatrist
right.
way back years ago when I was going through it. And
Okay.
it actually helped. It
Yes,
actually helped.
right.
So,
So that's what we do
well,
for
I did want
ourselves.
to talk about trauma, the
Yeah.
different traumas that we face, and we'll talk about African Americans in general. And
Hmm.
so, what types of trauma would you say that we are inflicted with when it comes to African Americans, making it hard for us to really know that we have to take some time out for ourselves to heal,
Mm,
to go into a healing space
mhm.
and to get into self-care? Because some of us don't even know what that is. Self-care, healing from trauma. And,
Yeah.
there's one trauma next to the, you know, next trauma. And
Hmm.
I can only imagine, one trauma being worse than the other, depending on
Hmm.
what case scenario it is and who it is, right? And what kind of trauma that person experienced.
Yeah. So with trauma, trauma, I say that trauma is anything that takes you out of your equilibrium, removes you from
Mm,
your balance. Because we know
mm.
day to day we have a sense of balance, right? And it
Yes,
could be
yes.
you getting ready to go to a meeting, you can't find your keys. That's trauma. It could be the inner. It is. It is.
Especially if it
'Cause
takes you
now
too
we're not.
long.
Now,
You got an
now,
appointment.
now I'm at a dis-ease, right? Because I am like I can't find my keys. I got late for this meeting. They're expecting me to be and show up, and all these thoughts go in our heads that make our
Yeah,
trauma from a little T to a big T, right? So
right, right.
and it's the person's interpretation of the trauma. I can always say this for therapists that are going into this practice that we may see a child or an adult experience something and we think, oh my God, that is traumatic. In
Mm-hmm.
actuality, that person may see that event as not as big of a T as someone who's witnessing them see that, right?
Right, right.
So that's why it's whatever takes you out of your balance, out of
Yes,
your
yes.
space, that
Mm-hmm,
makes you
mm-hmm.
dip down from that
Right.
equilibrium is trauma. And I
Mm,
think as African American and African American women,
mm-hmm.
we have intergenerational trauma. We're holding the trauma of our moms and her mom and their mom
Yeah.
and this mom. I don't know if you've ever been to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C.,
I
Pleshette.
have not. I really want to have a trip with my family to that museum soon.
So there are like, I may be wrong. There's like 5 different levels that you start from the bottom. You just wake yourself up to the next one, wake yourself up to the next one. And every level has this space of trauma.
Mm,
At the same time, it has this space of resilient, strength-based
yes.
women, men,
Mm,
boys,
mhm.
all of our community at this level. Each level, trauma, resilience, trauma,
I
resilience.
love it. Resilience.
Yes. And
That should be our middle name for all Black people is
girl,
resilience.
and protecting factors. We protect one another in our communities. We
Yes, we
really,
do. Yes,
right?
we do.
I listened to
Hmm.
Michelle Obama's podcast and she talks about, how we take care of each other in our communities. That's what we do for one another. And these
Yes.
floors and floors of trauma in this museum,
Hmm.
you are always engaged at how we came to be at the next level, to the next level,
Wow.
to the next level. And I think that's really where we want to tap into. There's a sense of gratitude for how we have
Absolutely.
been, right? So when we
Yes.
are
Yes.
and we are experiencing day-to-day trauma, whatever it is, big T, little t, we
Mhm.
want to have that moment again of that pause, pray, and stay, pause, wait, and stay, where
I
we
love
just
it. Pause, pray, and
remind us,
stay. Hmm.
remind what we have thrived to be who we
Hmm.
are now, and that gratitude,
Yes.
we start listing it. Ooh,
Yes. And
grandbaby.
that's
Oh,
important.
it
Oh,
has to be.
yes.
You have to.
Gratitude. That's a big
Yes.
one, right there. That's a big one.
Yes, yes, because it is intergenerational trauma is not the trauma in every community, but it's definitely in the African American community. Yes,
Oh, most definitely. Yes.
so with that intergenerational trauma, we have hormones that are doing whatever it does. The cortisols are just high levels because we're already
Hmm.
stressed coming into this world of systemic racism. So we enter with a set of trauma that not all other communities are involved in.
Right.
And
Right.
we have to be aware of that because if we um, are not aware of it, this is where
Hmm.
the pain and the suffering will show up. Because with
Hmm.
awareness, we can do something about it. We can own it and make it available to us in a different way, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Versus it hitting us like a quick impact, like some car just dropped off and hit us with a piece of racism, like all of a sudden. No,
Yes.
we are aware. And that's
Now,
important.
yes, it is. When you visited the museum in Washington,
Yeah.
uh, how many days did it take for you to cover the museum? Because they say it's really, really huge.
It is huge, and
Lots to see.
a lot to see, and I'm sure I've missed so much, and I want to go back. So I did it
Mm,
in the day. So I was there all day, and we had the person that shows you around. For whatever reason, I can't get that word into my mind, but there was a tour guide.
tour guide.
Yeah, and she was an African American young woman, lawyer. Oh, it just felt so strong, and it was, and she just
Oh.
was like tour. She took us around every floor, and she focused on things that were her specialty, right? So she looked at the
Mhm,
laws and explained the laws to us of how
mhm,
systemic racism came to be what it is today. And
mhm,
she
mhm.
walked us through what documentation was necessary for a slave who had been freed must have on their body. And if they did not, what would happen?
Mhm.
That was the story that we heard. So I heard it from her standpoint, where there's other tour guides that give their piece within what they specialize in. So this was from a
Oh, I
lawyer.
love it. I love
Mhm.
it.
It was amazing.
So, okay, we've talked. I love how you talked about how whenever we're out of balance,
Hmm.
with our whole equilibrium, the whole thing with the losing the keys,
Yeah.
and even today in
Yeah.
preparing for our interview, some things happened, and I was feeling traumatized. Like you really didn't do what you.
See? 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 And Pleshette, do you know where that trauma could have went if your thoughts continued to make you feel bad about what you did versus
Yes,
just saying, okay, this is what's happening. Let me plan this way now. That's
right.
that's the suffering that we do to ourselves. And
Mhm,
it's just something that we make up in our head, and all of a sudden it seems like it's real. And it's
mhm,
not. But we can
mhm.
really get depressed and suffer from something that's up in here.
Right,
This is
right.
why I always recommend when you do mental wellness that you have someone up in here with you. Don't go in that
Yeah.
hood by yourself. Don't go. This is the hood. It can have you
Mhm.
thinking all kinds of things that make you suffer more than you deserve to from an event that probably will never happen, but your mind said it did.
Right,
So just
right.
being aware how a therapist or someone that you confide in can help
Mhm,
you do this together and help you to
mhm.
come out of these thoughts who originally were trying to protect us back in our reptilian brain, but we don't have to go from that
Mm,
old brain knowledge anymore. We can get
right.
protection from another person who wants to be of service to us.
Mhm, mhm. Well, now let's talk about some self-care tips.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot. So, what are some of the examples and let's stick with Black women.
Hmm.
What are some of, in your time that you have seen and some of the patients that you may have talked to and
Hmm.
just, personal friends that you've known, that some self-care tips that we can give to our audience?
Okay, so here's one. I just heard this yesterday and I loved it. It's like worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. You
Mm,
move, you do move, but
mhm.
there's no action. There's no action. Nothing's going to come out of it. Nothing will come out of it.
Yes.
So we can
Right, right, right.
worry, rock back and back without worrying. We're
Mhm,
moving,
mhm.
but we're not
Right.
doing anything.
So true.
Instead of being in that rocking chair of worry, we can plan what we think we should do for that day
Mhm,
and never ever plan the outcome because that is not in our
mm,
control.
mhm,
And there
mhm,
we're more accepting for whatever
mhm,
happens versus
mhm,
having these expectations.
mhm,
And when those
mhm.
expectations are not met, feeling a certain kind of way, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, organize your day with intention, plan it, and have it be the moment that you choose to experience. And should something else happen as an outcome to whatever event or situation you're in,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm,
we can accept that outcome, good and bad, and
mhm.
just do the next right thing. Just do the next right thing. And the next right thing is in that pause and wait space. It's right there. It'll happen. The next right thing will show up if we just slow ourselves down and be more
Slow
proactive.
ourselves down.
Yeah,
That's the key right there.
it is. I tell all my girls that. Just pause. Because I had to do it to myself when my 18-year-old wants to talk back and act a certain kind of way I'm not prepared for.
Mhm,
I give myself a pause moment before I kill her because I don't want to harm her, right? I don't want to lose my lifestyle because of me taking care of her the way I really feel I would do in my head, but I don't do it out to her. But I pause, like, what's going on right now for me? That's that
Mhm.
attunement. We have to be aware of who we are and our vessel. We have to. We
We
choose
do.
to. We want
Mhm.
to. Because I
Mhm.
guarantee you that our external environment has already pretty much summed up who we are and what we are for them.
Mhm.
We want to
Mhm.
make sure that we know who we are for ourselves. So that awareness is key because
Mhm.
then you can see when you are being traumatized by whatever is
Right.
in front of you in that moment and pause and do the next right thing. And some of those
Pause.
tips, pause.
Mhm.
That's a tip. A tip is to pause. Another tip
Mhm.
is to don't go in your mind alone. Never do the thoughts. Whatever those thoughts are, find someone that you trust. And if it's not anyone around you, go to the one, another, something.
Mhm.
If it's your bedpost, go to something and let that be voiced, written
Mhm.
down. We always say journal, journal. Not every journal's not for everyone, but if it
Right.
is, write about it.
Right
Just
about
don't
it.
let it sit up here because remember, it's that other T, toxic.
Yes. Yes. So true. So when we go back to COVID-19, the
Mm-hmm,
pandemic,
mm-hmm,
and how it's really changed our daily living. I talked to my mom. She doesn't even want like to go to the grocery store anymore because she
mm-hmm.
knows that she's going to have to put on the mask. You could almost say the mask is traumatizing, right?
Yes,
Because when
yes.
I get out my car, sometimes like today I was going to Walgreens and I got out the car and I didn't have my mask on and they're really strict about masks, right? I was like, oh my
Right,
God, I got to go back to the car and I got to put my mask on because
right.
it just doesn't become robotic or automatic for me to always put it on because
Mm-hmm.
it's law now. You got to wear this stupid mask
Right.
every day, everywhere you
Everything.
go,
Mm-hmm.
for entering. So, talk more about how it's changed our daily living and
Yeah.
what you're doing in your job, from day to day, as far as your position at One
Uh-huh.
Community Health.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of going back to when we first started Pleshette of us being able to let go of what we used to do, what we were doing yesterday. We're not able to do today. Words are so impeccable. So
Mm-hmm.
the way we choose our wording, like, well, I used to, that right there, I'm going to be depressed because I can't do it today, is what I'm telling myself. Right? I'm literally telling myself with the words that I chose that I can't
Mm-hmm.
do it today.
Mm-hmm.
So what we get to do is look at our words before they even make themselves out of our mouths.
Right.
What Look at what words help you to do what you're going to do in this moment. Make it a
Mm-hmm.
choice. Make it a choice. I choose to wear this mask for my safety so I can go and
Mm-hmm.
get what it is I need. Because my father is the same way as your mother. He's 76, refuses to leave his home.
Mm-hmm.
I order his food. And I say to him, because it's a concern to me that he's not able to live his life because of the fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
fear is a false evidence appearing real. You are not going to
Mm-hmm.
die. You just want to
Mm-hmm.
plan your safety. What is the
Plan your
safe place?
safety.
Plan your safety. Like, plan your safe day. Just plan a
Mm-hmm.
safe day. If it's part of a mask, how can we make that mask as comfortable for us as we need it to be to do
Mm-hmm.
our choice of living today?
Oh, I love that, Alondra. Our choice
Right?
of living today, plan your safe day. Now, see,
Yes,
that's good. And, it is all about our words
it
because,
is.
words, they mean so much and people take you at your word. So you
Yes,
have to be careful of the tongue and what you say.
yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes.
So, I'm really, really loving what you said.
Mhm.
Plan your safety, and don't
Yes,
look at it, as like what I said, it being a burden or I hate to put on my mask. So, and we make our choices of what we want
yeah,
to do for the day,
yes,
and we are intentional. like you said.
Yes.
Well, we need to be intentional,
We
right?
deserve to be intentional. We deserve it,
Hmm.
right? That
Yeah.
word is so important because then you're saying that I'm offering myself something I deserve to experience. What is available to me and my excitement
Yes.
about today? What is available?
Hmm.
Let's
Hmm.
just look at Chadwick. This man, to me, his death said so much because he took what was available to him in the day and
Hmm.
he owned it, right? He owned it.
Yes. Yes, he
Owned
did.
it. And that's what
Hmm.
we get to do. We don't have to have the pandemic own us. I'm choosing to
Wow.
walk out today and live my life with what's available to me today. And it feels so empowering. Like, well, let me go. Let me go.
Mhm.
Let me hit that
Right.
store here.
Right.
You want it. You want it.
What a fantastic analogy in what you just said with Chadwick Boseman,
Yeah.
that with his incredible
Mm.
and spirit, his
Yes.
during his this time of diagnosis for
Yes.
4 years, and in this very last 6 months of the pandemic,
Yes.
he chose to own the day
Yes.
and be very, very private with his whole
Yes.
family. And there's something to be said that I've seen on social media,
Mm.
that the folks that were in his circle, and that's
Mhm.
why your circle of who your family members are, or your close girlfriends or business confidants,
Mm.
those people never said a mumbling word.
Hello. Hello.
Lord have mercy.
Mhm.
That was I had to think about that for a
Mm.
minute,
Mhm.
because he owned the day. He continued to take on acting roles. And then
Yes.
when I heard that he was, in for treatment for surgeries and for, the
Mhm.
chemotherapy, all these different things,
Yes.
the man had incredible strength. Superman,
Mhm.
superpowers,
Yes.
really. He was the
Truly.
ultimate superhero with
Yes.
superpowers.
And that's what I mean. He had a external environment that was attuned to what he needed to be who he chose to be. And that's what I say. You want to know who is attuned to you and who you are attuned to so that we can identify how to be of service to
Mhm,
that person in this time.
mhm, mhm, mhm. I love it. Well, let's get into more of the behavior health counseling and support services
Yeah.
at One Community Health, and
Mm.
some of the things that you all are doing and some of the services that are offered at One
Yeah.
Community Health.
Yeah, so just for the behavioral health side, I'll start as me being the director of behavioral health. I have therapists here that work with individuals in our community to receive this support that I'm speaking to you of today, that
Mm,
resilient, strength-based service. And it's
I
short
love it.
term. It's brief
Mm,
enough for you to tap
wow.
into your soul and figure out how you heal. And then we
Mhm,
don't stay involved when we're not
mhm,
needed. We just
mm.
give you the arena to do your work, and then you become who you know you are.
I love it. And so this is a service that's offered at One Community Health.
Yes, so we have our brief therapy. We also have psychiatrists on staff. If there's a
Okay.
medication regime that you're working with a psychiatrist of ours, we go ahead and work with you. We also have doctors, physicians who prescribe medications if there is a need and that they see that they'll prescribe medications to support your mental wellness along with your
Mm,
physical well-being.
okay.
So we are very
Okay.
integrated. I am an advocate for integrating the whole person care. So we have case managers that if there's any barriers to you getting your medical and mental wellness achieved, we work out those barriers so that you can be seen with our case management department. We have our
Mhm,
AOD, alcohol and other drug services, harm reduction. We don't tell you what you cannot do. We help you where
mm,
you are. And
mhm.
that's all under behavioral health.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. And so let me see here. I see some notes here about that if someone is in need of emotional health finding food, health insurance, health care, or signing up for other assistance, to also call One
Yes,
Community Health.
that's right,
So
because
with
our
that,
eligibility department.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. And so the website and the phone number, I'm definitely going to list in the post, but the website is onecommunityhealth.org.
Huh?
Okay, great.
Let me
And
make
then I
sure,
do
because let me
have,
make sure that org, because I want to say it's .com, but let me make sure. But go ahead, Michelle, I'm listening to you while I look it up.
okay, I was just looking at our comments. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any questions. If there are any questions, this is the time now. Ask your question. There is no dumb question. There's, all questions. We welcome you to make comments, like this video, share this video, because self-care at any time, especially now during the
Mhm,
pandemic, is
mhm,
important for all of us, especially African Americans, because we are the hardest hit by
mhm,
COVID-19, the coronavirus. So
mhm,
we have, the whole social distancing that's going on. We have
mhm,
children. I have my niece. She's, in high school. She's at home. She's doing the distance learning. So
mhm,
we have a lot going on that requires self-care, especially even
mhm,
with adults. And we talk about children,
mhm,
adults, Black families are now hit with working at home, and their children
mhm,
are.
mhm, mhm.
I'm not married, and I always say, for those women who are married, you got children at home, you got to work at home. Bless you.
Mhm.
I'm praying for you.
I pray for him too, girl. I like more
Because
power to you.
it's
Amen.
it's a lot. It's a
And
lot.
we're
And
and then now they're
self-care,
teachers. They're teachers now.
they're
They have to be
teachers. They're
teachers.
teachers. Yeah, so self-care is really, really important. If you are a mother, you're a caregiver, you're a wife, and you're working your job, your full-time or part-time job, this
Mhm.
is a lot,
It's a lot.
okay?
Yes. Pause, pray, stay.
Pause, pray, stay,
And if
okay?
you're not
I'm
religious,
actually,
pause, wait, stay.
I'm actually going to write that in the comments. I
Mhm.
don't forget. Pause. You see. Pause, pray, stay. I love that. And that should
And
actually
yeah.
be on a t-shirt. You should almost trademark it, Miss Alondra. For
Ah,
real.
well, we have to do
Seriously,
a group together. We could look at everybody and get a t-shirt for everybody. While I'm sitting in front of them, I could have those t-shirts on to give me the support that I'll need presenting.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
So, as you know, we continue to move through COVID-19, coronavirus. The
Mhm.
world is opening back up. Of course, we're here in California,
Yeah.
and we all need to remain safe with our mask. Like you said,
Mhm.
I'm going to be positive now, like you
Mhm.
said,
Mhm.
about the whole mask and,
Mhm.
waking up knowing that, I'm planning a safe day. I
Yes.
love that. I need to take
Uh-huh.
notes while we were talking, but that I
Uh-huh.
did remember. Plan a safe day. Be intentional, folks,
Mhm. Yes.
from day to day, and wake up with a new attitude and a new morning. Be very
Mhm.
thankful.
Mhm.
I say to be in the land of the living. And self-care, if you're going
Mhm.
to be practicing, your meditation
Yes.
before you start the day, this is
Mhm.
what Alondra said. You're going to
Mhm.
meditate, and
Mhm.
meditate for 5 or 10 minutes right there in
Mhm.
your bed, or
Right.
on the floor, wherever it may be,
Mhm.
but it's quiet space for you, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
prayer. It's got to
Yeah.
be prayer. You're going to be
Mhm.
talking to the Lord about everything that you are dealing with and how you want
Mhm.
him to cover you. That'll be just as good.
And
And
sometimes we
then,
meditate by movement. We meditate by dancing because I woke up out of my shower and did some
mhm,
meditation with dance music.
that's
Mhm.
right.
Yes.
Yoga,
Mhm.
dance,
Mhm.
just get into yourself.
Yeah, there
It
you
is
go,
about
Pleshette.
self-care.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Folks, get into yourself.
Get
It
into
when it's
yourself.
time for self, it's nobody
Yes.
else, right?
No.
It's nobody else.
Mm. Do it
Block
before
it
the
out.
world wakes up.
Right.
Mhm.
Turn your phone off. Shut
Turn
your
it off.
door. lock your
Yes.
door like I do. I locks my door and I
Yes.
be like, don't knock on this door. Don't try to come in
Right.
my bedroom right now because I'm getting
Yes.
ready to take a shower. I'm getting ready to have time for plea.
Yes. Yes. See, that's what it feels, and it feels so good, Pleshette, when we, what
Yes.
you say, do ourselves, take care of ourselves, do that.
Mhm.
Yes. That's your
Yes.
t-shirt.
Yes.
That's your t-shirt. That's your t-shirt.
Do ourselves, y'all. Did y'all
Yes.
hear Miss Alondra?
You
Do
said it.
ourselves.
Do it. I like that. That is like,
So, Miss Alondra, as we
yes, love.
come to a close, do you have any final words for our audience? Take home.
I just want you to be attuned with you. Be aware of what you need. Know what it is inside of you, and just give yourself that opportunity to wait for it to show up. And don't look for it from the external environment because it might not show up there, but you can manage this and choose your words. Be intentional. Don't do this alone because none of us should. Be of service to one another as Jesus was to his disciples or whoever you
Oh,
trust and believe in. Be that person for the next. That's it.
I love you, my sister, Miss
I love
Alondra.
you.
Thank you for your
Mwah.
time today. This was a
Yes.
great interview. And I just want to say that Miss Alondra is going to be with us for the Exceptional Woman of Color Virtual Summit. You
Mm.
don't want to miss this. This is going to be October 1st through the
Yes.
3rd. She's going to be one of our panel experts where we're
Okay.
going to be having a discussion. I believe this is, I'm not sure which day it's going to take place, but we are going to have a schedule for EWalk this year, EWalk 2020,
Oh, yeah.
sometime next week. An e-blast is going out to give everyone updates on who our speakers are, the times of the sessions, and it's all free, folks. So
Mm.
go to ewallawards.com, and then let's not forget about all of the great services that were talked about today. Be
Mhm.
sure that you look up, you can Google it. We're going to make sure to actually enter onecommunityhealth.org and the phone number and the services that are offered with this great organization. Okay.
Yeah.
We have actually been partners with One Community Health for several years now. And Alondra, how long have you been with One Community Health?
It'll be 6 years, January 15th.
Wonderful. And we have our expert, Alondra Thompson. So you must look up these services and you must share this with your network. Share these services, share this post, like this post today, because this is not only for you, but this is for your family. This is for your network. And we need to have this information for our
Yes.
African American community. Okay, because it's to help us and to help us grow and to be resilient, because we are a resilient people and we want to continue to be resilient. We want to continue to be strong for ourselves,
Yeah.
for our family members, for our significant others.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think I'm done, and I'm just so glad that we were able to connect, even though
Me
we
too.
were late today, we did connect.
Mhm.
And Miss Valerie Scruggs, she'll be so glad.
Thank you, Valerie.
I love Valerie. Yes,
My
thank you,
love.
Valerie, for making it possible for us to be able to speak with Alondra today. And so, Alondra, you go and be the superwoman that you are.
You do the same.
And we praise you today for that pause, pray, and stay. And we're gonna work on our t-shirts. That's what we're
Yep,
gonna
we
do.
are. Yes. Win for yourself.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to my audience for chiming in today. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Again, share this video. And until we meet again, Alondra, she has signed off. And we are going to come to a close. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you next time on Tea Time with Pleshette.